Welcome to season 2 of The Corporate Life, where we elevate the game for businesses and their top level executives and corporate leaders. If season 1 was about living a fantastic corporate life, season 2 is about going deeper into the realms of big financial achievements and profound work satisfaction. Hi, I'm Hina Siddiqui, your host and a seasoned corporate warrior who's danced between loving and hating her corporate roles for years. I get it. The highs, the lows, the challenges, and the triumphs. In season 2, we are bringing you unique insights, powerful tools, and inspiring conversations with experts and thought leaders in the corporate industry. So whether you are a top-level executive, a business owner, or someone aspiring to reach those heights, fasten your seatbelts. This season is your passport to conquering the corporate world with financial heroism and unwavering work fulfillment. Let's redefine success together. Hi, this is Hina Siddiqui and you are listening to the Corporate Life Podcast. Today we are about to dive into something seriously cool, the power of self-worth in top leadership. Imagine that you're leading a wild project, navigating through the chaos with style. What's your secret weapon? It's that inner fire, that deep down belief in yourself that says, yeah, I've got this. It's like having a personal cheerleader in your corner 24/7. So, in this episode, we are gonna unpack the magic of self worth with my dear friend and the very amazing Allyson Roberts. Allyson is a cognitive brain expert. She's dedicated to one thing: delivering tangible results. So, get ready for some epic stories and a whole bunch of tips to turbocharge your own self worth and become the leader you were born to be. Sounds good? Let's dive in. Hi, Allyson. Welcome.
Hi, it's so good to see you again.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. Whenever I see you, it's like lots of new ideas, and we talk about a lot of things that are of similar interest. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I love spending this time with you. So
Same here.
Thank you.
Same here. Allyson, today we are talking about a very important topic that people don't pay much attention to. It's called the self-worth. And you and I already know that our net worth is, it depends a lot on our self-worth. So what would you like to say on that?
Yeah, I would like to say that, a lot of people look to the outside, to fix all the things, right? More money is going to make them feel more secure and more, the right kind of love or the more love is going to make them feel, more wanted and accomplished, and people pleasing the boss and people pleasing all the things is going to make them feel a certain way. And it does temporarily. And this is why a lot of people end up repeating the same patterns over and over and over again, because they're looking for that dopamine hit of self-worth that's on the outside of them. So, it's self-worth is everything. Self-worth equals net worth. Yeah. So, if you're not into yourself and taking care of that heart and soul that's inside of us, then what tends to happen is we get very depressed, and we a lot of people end up faking happiness and faking love instead of truly feeling it and being in it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to say. And I also think that we think that, the self-worth, whatever amount of money we have, whatever amount of happiness we see from the outside, that, okay, this is what is important in our life. But a true self-worth is not dependent on the net worth.
Exactly. And when I left corporate America and, became a consultant for corporate America instead of being in corporate America, I thought that was like the answer to everything. I was making, the most money I'd ever made in my life, and I was able to manage my own schedule. And I had like the life that people post about on social media all the time. I was miserable. Because I thought that getting out of corporate America and achieving that huge milestone was what my heart and soul needed. But that is called fleeing. it is a fear response,
Yeah.
which, I was running from corporate America instead of running into Allyson, paying attention to her and listening to her and being with her. And it wasn't until I started doing that my whole world just started opening.
Yeah, yeah, and I can relate with that. If you are a C suite or top level executive or even a business owner, I want to personally invite you to join me for an unforgettable experience at the 7-day Leadership Voyage Vision to Reality Yoga Retreat in a little heaven on this earth, the very beautiful Bali. You can achieve big time corporate career, business, financial success without hard work in record time. This is what I'm going to show you and set you up for in this eco luxury experience. It's limited to a powerful small group of no more than 12 top level executives. We will dive deep into corporate coaching the yoga way. Because yoga is much beyond the postures and asanas. It's the alignment of body, mind, emotions, and energy in one direction to achieve anything that you want while being sane and yourself. Together, we will uncover your subconscious blocks, unearth your hidden leadership qualities, and turbocharge your money mindset. Visit my website at www.authorina.com to learn more and reserve your spot. You deserve this incredible experience. Low self-worth and high self-worth. Let's talk about that. And when I say that low self-worth and when I say that high self-worth, what are some of the examples? Like, how do we identify people with low self-worth and those with high self-worth? How do we see that in their behaviors?
Yeah, so, I know that everyone knows the obvious ones, we settle and we don't negotiate for our worth, those are the obvious ones, but there's ones that aren't as obvious. And those are the ones that I really want to talk about today with regards to low self-worth. You'll see someone who is angry pretty much all the time. Passive aggressive. Some people might say that, they're carrying like a chip on their shoulder. They're just miserable. A lot of times people will think that it's their personality, and it is, but it's their personality as a result of believing that they are worthless. You'll also see people staying in a job way too long, staying in a relationship way too long, putting up with misbehavior from other people, putting up with their bosses mistreating them, or their coworkers mistreating them, or their spouse mistreating them, or their family members mistreating them, because they just don't believe that they deserve any better.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of this. I was coaching a gentleman the other day, and his culture is that, you don't talk back to the family. Even though he's a 40-year-old man, he was like, in my culture, I would never tell my dad anything that is other than, thank you for all the sacrifices you made. And I think that's so sad. Because first of all, it's a fake relationship, and you can't build your worth inside of falsehoods. It's not possible.
Right. It's like pleasing people around, right? When you are
Yes.
putting people on a pedestal and you are minimizing yourself, you're fantasizing about the other people, like they are just on a very high position, and keeping yourself on a low position and then behaving from or operating from that position.
Yeah. I encouraged him to sit down with his father and make all the statements, no accusing him, no blaming him, just really just owning everything, and his father now isn't speaking to him. But his mother called him the other day and was like, he's thinking, he's walking around muttering to himself and thinking. So she's like, don't be discouraged. You opened a door. But just that one conversation with his dad, it was only like 10 minutes. But he was like, he's like, something unlocked inside of me. like something. He's like, Allyson, I can't even explain it. And I was like, yeah, you opened up your worth box. Your treasure box that is your worth. You cracked it open. And that's what I really want to emphasize, is that a lot of people think that it's this long, drawn out process and that we have to find our self-worth. And it's like, no, you have to be your self-worth. And you have to, and sometimes it's going to require you to do some hard things.
Yeah, exactly. And being on a high self-worth, it's all about being authentic. It's all about being yourself and just, operating from that strong position that you matter, you are valuable. And a lot of us have seen that in our childhood, where our family have not made us feel that kind of important, or as if we matter, or if we are significant. And we are still holding that tag with us, and we are just using that tag in our adult life also. I know this is really unfortunate, but then they really need to work with somebody in order to address that. I can tell you my example was like, again, I have suffered from a low self-worth for a very long time, being in an Indian family where this is in the culture that you cannot raise your voice, you cannot talk about what you really want. You just need to align with whatever your family values are, and you need to agree with whatever your parents say. Oh, you just said that even at the age of 40 or whatever, like, age does not matter. You are always younger than your parents. This is what we believe here in this culture. So this is so important that we understand the importance of our self-worth, where we stand right now. We are not a child anymore. We are not depending on anybody else for to feel important or to take care of us, or we can do everything on our own. So then when you start thinking from that position, then things really start to change.
Yeah, and the family dynamic it can really hurt,
Yes.
because and a lot of times I will speak to people who were like, there wasn't trauma in my family. I wasn't beaten. I wasn't, abused. And I'm like, but trauma isn't the incident. It's our response to things, right? That's what it's our separateness from the thing, right? So if you grow up in a culture where you're expected to be, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, like you have to fit in these boxes, that can hurt your self-worth just in that. Because what if you want to teach the blind how to paint, or teach horses how to gallop or something? And it's like, and if your family culture, I mean, this gentleman's family culture was just what I said. You become a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. I mean, and it's no exception. And you're a failure if you don't fit into the box. And that is just detrimental to your self-worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just detrimental, because what these two people who brought you into the world, that are supposed to be your safety, and these two people that you're supposed to love, and they're supposed to love you more than anything in the whole wide world, they're saying, if you don't fit into this tiny little box right here, then we want nothing to do with you. And it's just like, and how are you supposed to then go out into the world? And if you go against that, believe that it's okay. And the way that you do that is by understanding that this box is not about you. It's about them. It's about their feelings of insecurity and their feelings of believing that that's the only way that you can be safe. That's the only thing that's going to protect you. That's the only way that you're going to be able to make it in this world, is if you have that level of income, or that position, that role. And once you understand that it has nothing to do with you, it's all on your parents' fear and their insecurity and what's going on with them, it does bring a sense of, okay, all right, I'm gonna take some baby steps now in the direction that I want to go in.
And I also believe that parents and siblings and the people around us, our friends, they all see us through their own self-worth.
Yes.
Yeah. So when they do that, and then we just mistake that. We think that okay, this is something that we are, but actually, when they are saying that you can't do this, or you are not good enough, or you are not this enough, then they are actually talking about themselves and not about you. So this is something that's really important to understand.
Yeah, it's, and people need to take, and I do mean this when I say need, we need to take time with ourselves every day.
Yeah.
If you don't take that time to, some people call it meditation, some people call it, reflection. If you don't take that time to just breathe and go into your heart space and feel what's happening and listen, because everyone has guidance inside of them, really listening to that inner voice, that in and of itself builds self-worth.
I agree with that. And now let's talk about it in the corporate leadership role when we struggle with this kind of family setup and the low self-worth in our childhood and as we grow up and in our school college times, and we grow up and sometimes not sometimes, but then we just end up in a good position because we have done a lot of hard work or whatever, and we have reached that position, we have managed somehow, and we are the CEO or the business owner or whatever, right? Now, how does this self-worth affect the expansion of businesses?
Yeah, so when you have healthy self-worth as a business leader, you have the ability to see and hear people through an authentic lens instead of being on the defense all the time.
Yeah.
And you also allow people to have agency, which gives people a sense of belonging. I read an article yesterday where this woman was talking about she was losing teeth. She'd been at this company for 22 years. And she had an autoimmune, all of a sudden this autoimmune disease kicked in and it was affecting her teeth. And her leadership would not give her permission to go on her dentist appointments. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And she was having to go above their heads and into HR and get letters from doctors and prove that she had this thing going on. And that is low self-esteem. That is low self-worth in corporate leadership.
Yeah.
The more controlling someone is, the less self-worth they have.
Yeah.
So it's just true. And so what happens is that when you have a leader that has low self-worth and they're controlling, normally they will hire people who they feel will bow to them and be afraid of them. So you have a top tier person with no self-worth, and then you have their right-hand person that also has no self-worth. They're too afraid to say anything to him.
Yeah.
And then that person will hire someone under them who's too afraid to say anything to that person. So then they're too afraid to say anything to this person. And then you just have this stair-step leadership where everyone's terrified, everyone's panicked, no one's saying anything. And it's a prison. It becomes a prison with one big bad bully in charge instead of this collaborative, open, fun, winning environment where every single person feels their worth.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And this, I've seen it in my corporate days.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Yeah, this is something really terrible. And I also think that when we have a high self-worth, we expect our employees to perform at that level. But when we are having that low self-worth, we don't expect best from the people.
Right. I mean, just imagine a work environment where everyone shows up for work when they want to, unless there's meetings or things like that, I get it. But they show up for work in a time window from 8 to 10. You show up in that time window, you're considered to be on time. So you know, if your kid has a doctor's appointment, or you have a doctor's appointment, or your car runs out of gas or whatever, you're not just jacked up and just freaking out because you're going to be late for work. It's like this whole thing of just, that there's so many just like tiny little tweaks that can be made to the work environment. Imagine a meditation room. What if every company in the world had a meditation room? Not a religious room, a meditation room where you just go and you can just sit for 5, because you can't do it at your desk.
Yeah.
You can't breathe at your desk. I mean, you can, but most people don't. Most of us need like some type of representation of, this is where you can come, and breathe.
That's so beautiful. Like, I think that this is a really great idea to have something like meditation room or breathing room in a corporate house. And this is really unfortunate that people like in the corporations, they have a lot of trainings conducted on skill based, like how to have, the communication skills and stuff like that. But underneath, if somebody is having a low self-worth, then the communication style, how can they fake it? I really fail to understand this, that even if you try really hard, that, okay, I want to communicate authentically, I want to communicate very strongly, but you have that low self-worth at the deeper level, then on the surface you cannot appear that confident. It's not possible. So the
Right.
corporations, they are taking a lot of measures about the hard skills trainings, and they specialize. Of course, this is important. I'm not saying that it's not important, but what is more important is the foundation that goes in the roots.
Yeah, one of my friends, she holds a very high-powered position, and she has a sales manager that reports to her. And the other day, their sales are down, but they're not hurting by any stretch of the imagination, but their sales are down. And so she called him, into her office, and she was like, what's going on with you? Just be real with me. And he started crying. And he said, I'm scared. And they had this amazing conversation. And high self, I don't like to, I really, I mean, I know that people say high, low, but I really just like to be like healthy self-worth leads to vulnerability.
Yeah.
When we have healthy self-worth, we can ask for the help that we need. We can share truly how we are feeling and what's going on. And, and she definitely has healthy self-worth. So, he knew that he was in an environment of safety. And that's the other thing, is that when we have healthy self-worth, we are the safety providers. We are providing safety for people to be themselves with us. And that's huge.
Yeah, right. By being vulnerable, we are allowing the, vulnerability in the workspace. When we are sharing our weak sides, the stories that shows our weak side, because we are definitely not perfect people. No one, none of us. So when we're sharing that with our team members and our employees, then the employees are also, inspired to do that with their subordinates, with their bosses, and be more of themselves. And then performance wise, when we are as CEOs, like we are expecting really high performances, because we expect nothing but the best. So when we expect that kind of thing, then the workplace culture goes really, really high. Like it becomes profiter. And as you said, that healthy. So let me just use that. Healthier the self-worth, the better the business and the revenue and every aspect of the business.
Yeah, and a low self-esteem, situation, he would have gone in the office, and he would have been all defensive, right? And then she wouldn't have been able to help him.
Yes.
And it's just that simple. It's it's so simple. I mean, it really is. It's so simple. She was like, well, now that I know what's going on, I can help you. I can help you bring the cells up. I have these things over here in my little magic bag that I can, use with you. But when we have low self-esteem, we feel like We have to be perfect.
Yeah,
A
right.
lot of pressure.
Lots of pressure. Yeah. And the truth is that we don't have to be perfect. And the moment we shed that burden off our shoulders, things are very different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allyson, as now we know that self-worth is so important for CEOs, for business leaders, for top-level executives, how do they enhance their self-worth? How do they make it healthier in three practical and easy steps? If I ask you this question, what would you say?
Yeah, so there's three things that you can do. The first is to get really honest with yourself about what's going on with you. Because we can't heal what we don't feel, and we can't embrace what we don't face. So oftentimes when I'm working with executives in this arena, I will have them just make a list of all the things that aren't working. Employees aren't listening to me, numbers are down, this is going on, that's going on. So that's the first thing, is just make a list of everything that's not working, that's a problem, right? Then the second thing that you do is, when you make that list, is how safe do you feel when your employees aren't listening to you? How safe do you feel when the numbers are down? Because a lot of times I'll find these corporate leaders that are just jacked up on adrenaline and cortisol. I mean, they're terrified. And once they can see that they are so scared, then it kind of blows their mind a little bit. And then the third thing that I do is say, help them understand the reason that you're so scared is because your self-worth is depending on these things to be exactly the way that you need them to be. Yeah. And just doing that exercise alone, oftentimes people will just be like, wow. And I mean no disrespect by this, but especially men, because we just don't allow men to feel afraid. Yeah. The whole world expects men to be the strong ones, the ones that don't feel fear. So often men in these leadership roles, when they allow themselves to feel the fear and to understand where the fear is coming from, it has nothing to do with Hina, Allyson. It has nothing to do with the bank account, with the goals. It has to do with they don't feel safe. Yeah. Then I teach them how to start building safety inside of themselves, and it turns everything around. Beautiful. Yes, I totally agree with that. This is so powerful that this changes everything around. Allyson, what is the best way to work with you? Because I'm sure that you can help these people, these leaders, to really, really create big results. Yes, and I would love to help them. So it's Allyson, ALLYSON, at AllysonRoberts.com. You can just send me an email, reach out to me. Thank you. And I'm going to include your contact information in the show notes section. People can find your information there and contact you. Thank you very much for your time today. And I really loved talking about this amazing topic, which is my favorite topic, by the way, one of my favorite topics, of course. Thank you very much for giving such amazing insights to us. Thank you for having me. So our self-worth is like the secret sauce for our success. It's like the bigger our self-worth, the taller our success skyscraper gets. It's wild, right? It's like believing in yourself is the turbo boost for your dreams. So let's hype up our self-worth game and watch how high we can really fly. I'll see you next time. Stay happy and safe. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe, share the wisdom, and throw in a cheeky review.